guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. I'm glad you're here. I want to thank all the channel members. Thank you so much. And I want to thank anybody who comes by to watch the videos and let you know that I really appreciate you taking the time to check out the content. If you're so inclined and you get the chance, if you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification icon, it'll really help me out. Today, I wanted to talk about and go through some of my recent acquisitions and kind of categorize them by what I consider to be very slicey knives. Slicey knives are typically going to be thin knives with really good cutting blade geometry, and there are a couple of ways you can get that. Knives that come with a super sharp, acute grind that are kind of set up to slice out of the gate. And then you've got knives like this 4Max that's not normally a slicer, but that was reground by Satu Dave with a hollow grind. And now, even though it's a big overbuilt knife, it's as slicey almost as anything I've got. So slicey knives come in a lot of different sizes, a lot of different shapes, and a lot of different forms. So today, what I wanted to do is go through my collection and talk about 10, and I'll call them newer editions that kind of fit that slicey category. And again, that's blade geometry, that is the thickness of the blade stock, cutting edge, things like that. So number 10 is going to be the TRM, Three Rivers Manufacturing, the Nerd, titanium, and the MagnaCut blade. This knife screams little slicer because it is actually built along the same blade profile as the TRM Shadow, which is a really tall, flat grind, almost full flat, starting out with very thin blade stock in a smaller package that translate into just a little slicey demon. I'm going to try to let this piece of paper last this whole review. We'll see how that goes, or overview. But the TRM Nerd in MagnaCut really, to me, kind of ups the game over the 20CV because it's MagnaCut and it came with the titanium handles. But a very thin, a very slicey little package that will fit in your fifth pocket in most cases, and also serves as a great primary carry knife. So at number 10, we are going to have the TRM Nerd. Coming in at number 9 is a newer version of a knife that I've had before, and this is a traditional, modern traditional folder, and this is the Traditional Pocket Knives QSP Hedgehog. And this guy has got a very deep hollow ground blade. You guys can probably see that there, maybe. Comes down to an extremely thin tip blade. It's got like a little splinter picker at the end. It's M390, and it glides through material like butter. I mean, my first Hedgehog that I got earlier this year was the original QSP carbon fiber that had the 14C28 blade. This particular variation in the M390 is every bit as thin, if not thinner. I've not compared them with the calipers to the carbon fiber Traditional Pocket Knives exclusive, but for a slicey little EDC traditional modern folder, this guy is fantastic. And that's the QSP Hedgehog Traditional Pocket Knives Special Edition M390 fat carbon fiber, right around 145 bucks. You can use Javon 10, or excuse me, for this knife you can use Javon TPK and save $5 off this knife. So moving on, we come to one of the knives that really impressed me this year. I got it earlier in the year, and this is a quiet carry knife in 20 CV, and it's the Quiet Carry 9. The Quiet Carry 9 has probably some of the best blade geometry and full flat ground, super thin and slicey blade, titanium handles. You've got this carbon fiber insert, maybe micarta, I forget. But the action on this knife is buttery smooth. The blade is tall with a nice belly and a nice clip point. It is so thin and just literally glides through material like nobody's business. I'm trying to get it to cut all the way through. But the Quiet Carry 9 is definitely one of the banger sharp knives. And in this case, it's going to come in at number 7 in the top 10 that we're going to look at today. And that's the Quiet Carry 9. Coming in at number 7, we've got one of my newer knives. And actually 2 knives from this maker made it on the list because they're both super, super thin. And this is the Mr. Designs Zero. The Zero is a minimalistic gentleman's knife, little button lock, no hardware on the show side. You've got the pivot screw and the clip screw on the back side. It's kind of got a unibody construction where this titanium is formed all the way around to where this back scale just attaches, which allows it to have that no hardware on the show side. But the blade is M390. It's a laser beam. Super thin, super slicey, super minimalistic in terms of its carry profile. Got a wire clip, very neutral handle, very neutral shape. Just a great EDC, slicey, thin little knife. And that is the Mr. Designs Zero. Moving on, we come to a little small EDC fixed blade. And this is the Den Apprentice. This little guy is in Magna Cut and caramel, vintage caramel micarta. It is a full tang, super, super thin, little acid washed Magna Cut blade that literally is like a scalpel for opening packages, cutting cardboard, cutting paper, saving Slurpees. It is a fantastic little pokey, slicey, I would say the quintessential, one of the quintessential slicey fixed blades in my collection. Super thin, super pokey, super easy to carry as a secondary EDC fixed blade, and love this knife. Waiting to see one come out that's got a satin blade because Tyler does them. I just haven't been able to grab one yet, hopefully with a carbon fiber scale. But I love these little knives. This is the Den Apprentice, and it is as slicey as they come. So moving on, we come to another slip joint. This one's a little bit different, a little bit more modern. This is a Max Ace Beetle S with probably some of the thinnest blade stock in my overall collection. It's a full-size slip joint, so it is a handful, and the handle width, it's pretty normal size, about a 1/2 inch. But if you look at that blade, it is absolutely thin, M390, doesn't even need an edge on it to cut because it is so thin. But for a modern traditional, it's slicier than any of my Jack Wolfs, and that's just simply because it's a tall, flat grind that has amazingly thin blade stock and a very tall flat grind. So for really slicey traditionals, modern traditionals, the MaxAce Beetle S will definitely surprise you. Moving on, we come to the other Mr. designs in my collection. This is the knife whose blade was on this thumbnail, and it's a knife that came originally in carbon fiber. I upgraded the scales after I got it because I love this knife so much. There's so much to talk about here, but I've already done a review on this knife. It is M390 OEM by Bestech, tall flat grind, compound grind with this nice gentleman's tanto tip. Amazing ergos, great sharpening choil, some of the thinnest, sliciest blade stock that you could ever want. That compound ground is also very sharp. It's a good bit thicker than the flat on the lower, but just a joy to cut with. This is the knife that really put Mr. in my sights and made me go back and look at the Cipher D, which is the drop point. I'm a middle finger flicker guy. This is a flipper only. However, the detent is done so well, and the blade is so thin, and the overall handle profile, carry profile for a full-size knife is delightful. So coming in at number, what would we say? Is that number 4? Is the Mr. Designs Cipher. Moving on, we come to probably the biggest knife in the sliciest knife category at number 3, and this is the Kwo Padre stonewashed Van-X blade, tall, almost full flat, about 3/4 flat at the back. Some of the most delightful ergos of any knife in my collection. One of the tallest, thinnest grinds that I own. A cardboard destroyer. And just an absolute slicey beast. Again, a combination of really good blade steel, beautiful cutting geometry, and that really nice blade stock that comes down on that real tall flat grind to that belly, and it just gives you a razor blade tip. So coming in at number 3, super slicey, the biggest one on this list, one of my favorite knives that does not get enough carry time because I'm blessed to have a lot of knives that I enjoy carrying. That's the Kwo Padre. Then we come to this little odd beast. This is new. This is a Jason Grant Kill Bill edition because of the colorway. G10 black, red lanyard tube, yellow liners, tall, full flat grind blade. What I would consider the perfect utility knife. This thing is so slicey. It's a little fixed blade. Has a fantastic handle and purchase with that really nice industrial jimping. A beautiful finger choil. It's a small knife, but it's a very capable knife. It is so slicey that it's just a joy to have. And as a secondary carry fixed blade in an urban city environment, I can't think of a better little representation of, I need to cut open some boxes, I need to open this, I need to deter that. It's just a great little small yet stout fixed blade knife. And this is a little mini J-Cal with a custom Warncliffe full flat ground blade that is extremely sharp and thin. Has great blade geometry. Which brings me to number one. Should be no surprise. This knife has rapidly stolen my heart this year. This is probably my best, most awesome purchase so far of 2023. It is the SPK Lamia. It is an absolute laser beam, CNC ground, almost a full flat. You've got these grind lines from the CNC machine that are done oh so well. And then the final bevel is perfectly even, perfectly just tacky, sticky edge. It's crew wear, so it holds an edge very well, and it holds a sticky edge. I really love it. I love the profile of the knife in my pocket. I love the profile of the blade. It's very thin. Whoops, it's very minimalistic. Doesn't give you a lot of flash that's not really needed. But for an EDC carry knife that's going to be a good companion in an urban city, you know, kind of suburb environment, I think this knife checks all the boxes for me. And it is and always has been a grail for the last several years since I got back into the hobby. It is now in my collection. I'm thoroughly in love with it. Again, I hope more knives come along that blow me away. But guys, that's 10 really slicey knives that have come into my collection this year. Just some of them recently, some of them a little bit less recently, but it's kind of been something I've been going after, was getting some slicey knives, because that's kind of the things I like. That's why I sent the knives off to Satu for regrinds, because if anybody's going to make a knife cut better, it's Dave. And so we've done that. We had our Jack Wolf out here. That's, again, a fantastic slicey knife, just as is the Satu, but I wanted to keep this down to 10, so we stuck with the 10 that we've got on the table there in front of us. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the content. I hope you find it entertaining, informative, somehow helpful, but in either case, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. I do ask, if you would, please look out for that guy or gal to your left. Please look out for that guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.